Hi guys, and welcome back to the Milk Round, the Castlemilk Youth Complex podcast. We're on episode 23 now, so if you're a regular viewer, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, welcome to the best podcast on the internet. Castlemilk Youth Complex bring this podcast out every Thursday. Chris and myself record it earlier on in the week, and then we upload it on a Thursday to our YouTube channel, which you're on just now. So if you can like our videos, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and share it on your social medias, please, because that would help us out a lot. Check out our other videos as well on our YouTube. Sorry, it's not just podcast stuff. I've started to put up wee cooking videos and things like that, and more information about what's going on in the community. But as I say, if you can share it on your social medias, we'll always share it on our social medias, which are
on Facebook, we're Kelly Youth Complex Staff. On Twitter, we're Youth Complex CYC. And Instagram, Youth_Complex. We have a TikTok, it's Kelly Youth Complex. And we've got an email address, and you can get us there at cycyouthteam@gmail.com.
Happy days. So as I say, we're on episode 23 now. So it's almost half a year we've been doing it for, Chris. That's quite something.
That's quite mental. Yeah.
Aye. But
it's counting up. We always have to make sure that we're on definitely the right number this week.
Aye.
Is it definitely
every week? And hopefully somebody names it correctly next time as well.
That's right, yeah.
So last week in episode 22, we had Paddy McKenna from Castleton Housing. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. It's a great episode of the podcast. She gives a lot of information on what Castleton Housing, do, and what the organisation Castlemilk Together, which is like an amalgamation of almost every organisation in Castlemilk coming together and helping out where we can in the community. So it's a great episode. She gives lots and lots of advice and information on what's going on and how you can get involved. So if you're looking to get involved in things in the community, give last week's episode a watch or a listen.
It should be noted that all the links and stuff that we spoke about in that episode are in the description. Mm-hmm. So if you're wanting to get in contact, if you're interested in any of the stuff that we spoke about last week, then you can just hit those links. There are various links under there.
Yeah, I've seen that. All the stuff. So 3 or 4, it's great stuff. Aye. Brilliant, thanks, Chris. So that was last week's episode. And this week we've got another guest on, exciting stuff. So a good friend of ours at the complex. So if you keep watching, I think you'll really enjoy this week's interview. It's a wee bit different from our other interviews, I'd say. Maybe similar to one we done a couple of weeks ago, but something to look forward to. But we've got a couple of things to do before then. Like we always do every week, we've got a couple of sections that we cover. And the first section that we kind of cover is our nice news story. So I kind of just want to keep doing nice news as the complex is open and the cafe's open, Chris. That's what I want to do every week.
Sure.
So yeah. I'm just going to batter it into them and just say,
yep,
the complex is open and the cafe's open.
Yep.
Aye. Check out our social medias and you'll find out how you can get involved. You can you can order your food at the cafe and collect it. It's between 12 and 2 every day that's open. And the complex, we've got a Tuesday and a Thursday night. There's some slots, some music with yourself, Chris, on a Tuesday night, and you can book into that if you were a regular member of the music group before lockdown. And then you can come along if you're a new S1 or an existing member on a Thursday to Stacey's night. It's usually like a cooking activity or a kind of getting to know you activity, which is great. And then I do an S2 group, which I've been inviting some boys to come and watch the Europa League on a Thursday night as well. Yep. And it's great stuff, Chris, to be back in. I'm loving it. How are you finding it?
It's good. We're just going. The music group is quite different because it was quite it was kind of unorganized chaos at points, the music group at certain points, especially when you didn't have a performance coming up so much. It was just like a cacophony of noise and stuff like that. It's a lot more structured now, so which is good as well. It's different, but it's good as well. So what we tend to find is it's kind of like chaotic at the start, and then we settle down into a pattern, and we usually have like a wee kind of song or something together. It's usually just a cover or what have you. Then now we're just building up to, maybe doing some sort of original piece. But And what I've been trying to do as well has been trying to get video footage of something each week for our
That's
social
great.
medias.
Yeah.
So there should be something on as you're watching this, a new video up of a David Bowie classic. And that's all I'll say.
Aye. I've seen the video. I've been lucky enough to see the video.
Is it
and
up
hear it.
already?
No, I'm in the chat that you sent it into.
All right, okay, then I was confused.
No, excellent. Yeah, I loved it. And the first clip as well that you guys put up. So brilliant work getting done there by the music group on a Tuesday. And we're looking forward to seeing if there's shows coming up when we're able to put them on.
Well, you know something. I mean, you mentioned it last week. If we get build ahead of steam, I think we're all just trying to find our feet now, coming back out of being closed for so long. But maybe in the near future, if we're still under these kind of like situation of tiers and all that sort of stuff, then we might do like a broadcast, a live stream or something like that. That might be something that we can work towards. But for now, it's just nice seeing them each week and getting a wee chat with them and then doing a wee bit of music. I think that's fine. And there might be rumours that there might be some other session that might open up on a Tuesday as well, but it's very much at the planning stages now. But we think that might be the night where there's a bit more room to invite other people to come into the complex as well, because demand is really high for it. It seems to be on the Thursday for you as well.
It is, we've got a lot of people asking if they can join the sessions. A lot of people asking if they can join Stacey's sessions because it's more kind of drop-in activity, whereas mine's is, I'd say, similar to yours, where it's an actual activity every week where I'm inviting certain people who I think would really benefit from coming along to the youth complex and watching football. And luckily enough, the two games that we've watched, the two teams that the boys support, I've got decent results. I mean, last week we had some Celtic fans in watching Celtic play away to Lille, and unfortunately the way the game went, they were 2-0 up and then conceded 2. But they saved a penalty, and if at the start of the game Neil Lennon was asked, do you want a 2-each draw away to Lille, he would have taken it. So probably a good result there. And the first Rangers game was a 2-0 win away in Standard Liège. So the Scottish football teams are doing all right in Europe.
That's it. And I hear that possibly we might have automatic Champions League places next season.
Because the way that the international seedings went and how well that the Old Firm have done in Europe over the last couple of seasons, it's taken us up in the coefficient ranking where we've got an automatic Champions League qualification. So that means that Rangers and Celtic don't need to go to Azerbaijan 7 times and then fly to Malta and go to Faroe Islands to play 6 games against postmen and their grannies and that before.
Milk some goats and stuff like that, and ride some donkeys up to the stadium to get there on the buses, things like that. Yeah.
There's some teams in the Europa League qualification that somebody says look like Wi-Fi passwords. So I think the Scottish teams are kind of getting back to where they belong, I'd say. Me and my pals grew up in a generation, and probably our granddads grew up in a generation where the Old Firm were massive in Europe.
They were, yeah. But I never experienced that, but it was always... So when you said back to where they should be, is that just below average? Oh, you can't say that. I mean, Celtic and Rangers both reached a European final, so...
So that's what I was saying.
I'm being
done well.
there.
Both teams got to the last 16 of the Champions League, which is amazing. Both teams reached a UEFA Cup final when I was growing up, which is amazing. So even if they can replicate what they both done last season in the Europa League, get through the group stages, and Rangers went one further and got up against a team, Bayern Leverkusen, who they were never going to get by, but that's somewhere that they should be aiming to be, and I think the SFA should applaud them for that and help them instead of kind of putting them down. But that's maybe...
Well, that's a conversation for another podcast, I think.
Another episode, So that's what's been happening at the youth complex. But so that's some nice news. I just wanted to touch on one last nice news story before we go into the big section. and it's a young girl who done 7.1 million keepy uppies to raise money for charity.
What?
She found out that there was 7.1 million key workers in the UK. So
Okay.
she was like, I really want to raise money for them, and she loves football. So she started doing keep uppies, one for each person who's a key worker, to raise money. And some of the England women's national team joined in and helped her raise her number of keep uppies.
All
So
right.
she
Okay.
wasn't
Got
doing
it.
7.1 million herself. So she started that back in April. Her name is, I'll just tell you, her name is Imogen Papworth Heidel, and she's an Arsenal fan from Cambridgeshire. And she managed to raise, I've got the figure here, £11,418 for 9 different charities. So
I just
brilliant
had
stuff.
images of somebody doing, like, literally with a cup of coffee in one hand, trying to stay awake, right?
Red Bulls.
I'm like 7 million. How did she do that? Oh, right. She did it in bits then, right? Got you. And she got other people in to help out
Aye,
today.
aye.
Oh, right.
No,
I've
she's done
got
it
it
since
now.
April.
I'm just imagining this lassie been awake for
Aye.
weeks.
It's just non-stop since
Can't
April.
let it drop.
Aye.
Can't let it drop.
She's been doing it with a balloon as well. It's not even a football, so it's
I
been like
know.
taking
Takes
ages to come
longer.
back to it. And the guy counting's just been like that as well with Red Bulls. That's 700,394, 700,000. So well done to her. Over £11,000 for 9 different charities. So that's amazing stuff. So that's our nice news for this week, because we don't often see nice news on the telly. And when this goes out tomorrow night, politically we might not see some nice news, but we
Who
don't know
knows?
how
It's on a
it'll go.
knife edge.
It
It's
is,
on a knife edge.
but that's also a conversation for another episode, maybe. But aye, that's our nice news for this week. So our next section we go into is what's in my telly and what's in my belly.
Yep.
So I think it's me to go first. Is that right?
I
Or
think so, yeah. I think
so
so.
aye. So I'll rattle mines out quickly. I need to look at my notes to remember what I've been eating. In fact, I've just had my dinner, and that's what I was going to speak about. I had steak and cheese baguettes. I think you recommended steak baguettes recently. Is that right? No,
Um,
in one episode.
what did I use again? It was a beef masa man I did
Right.
as a
Okay. Aye.
curry.
Aye.
But
Yep.
I was saying that you don't, I had ribeye steak, but you don't need to
Aye.
use ribeyes. You can use
Aye.
that thin stuff.
Aye.
If you're putting heavy flavors into it, it doesn't matter so much. So
That's what I'm thinking
yeah,
about.
that's
Then
what it
I
was.
had the frying steak, and that's why I'm
Yeah,
putting that
that's
together.
perfect for that sort of
Aye.
thing.
So I had a nice steak and cheese baguette. It was brilliant. Loved it.
Hmm.
And that's dead easy to make as well. So that's probably another one for students
Hmm.
to make something
No
like that.
onions, though. You get some
No, see,
onions in
I'm
that,
dead
mate.
fussy. I'm dead
Oh,
fussy.
for goodness sake.
Aye, aye. I'd like to do the Philly cheesesteak one, but they look
Yeah,
brilliant, so they do.
they do
Um,
look good. I've tried a few in places in the city centre, but I think when you see the ones actually from Philadelphia, you go,
aye,
wait a minute here,
there's something else, isn't there? Aye.
that's on a
The way the
different
meat
level, isn't
cooked
it?
and all that, and the cheese is just
Oh,
melted perfectly over
aye,
it.
that's it.
Um,
I
so
saw
I
when he was using a hot plate and he put the kind of, it almost looks like that kind of like plasticky cheese that you get, and he
mhm,
put it all over it, and he just got the bit of bread and just went, and it stuck
aye,
to it, and it was all there, and
aye,
it was
aye.
like it was amazing. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that Americans do with a lot of meals with our bread. They soak their bread and stuff.
Mm.
Americans, because I went to visit a university in America with my university, and we got our dinners and that in the uni canteen, and they had like sloppy joes, but they would dip it in gravy, the full burger in gravy, and get to
All
you.
right.
But
Yeah.
not really for me, to be honest. Not a fan.
When I was watching I've been watching Hell's Kitchen, as I've been kind of mentioning the last few while, and they went to this cafe that invented the French dip sandwich, which
That
is,
I think that's what it is actually.
and it's
French.
like they dip the whole sandwich in deep deep fat fryer type thing, something
Right?
like that. I'm
Aye,
not sure,
aye.
or it's in gravy or
It's
something
a
like that.
gravy
It's gravy or aye. But it was
Onion-based gravy, maybe that could be.
aye, something like that. But they said that how it came about was actually the guy accidentally dropped a sandwich in the gravy, and he tasted it and went, "That's amazing! That I'm going to keep that as an idea." And that's where the French dip sandwich came from. There you
I
go.
love accidental food. Accidental food's brilliant. Peanut butter jelly was another accident. Popcorn was another accident, I think. So
Yeah.
they're all excellent stuff. So that's what's in my belly this week. I've done this the wrong way, so I'll just go to what's on my telly. I'm watching a sitcom that we're rewatching it actually about Arrested Development. I don't think I spoke about it on the podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I don't think so, no.
no, it's on Netflix. We watched it a couple of years ago, and it's about a family whose dad owns a real estate business and is jailed in the first episode, and it's all about the son keeping this family of misfits together and keeping them on the straight and narrow and getting them out of other bits of trouble. And it is hilarious. It's a sitcom that just there's so much silliness in it, but the writers are excellent. So they carry jokes for the first episode to like the ninth episode of the fourth season, and you're like,
Right.
oh, I remember that happened, and
Right.
it's really good writing. It stars David Cross, Will Arnett, Jason Bateman is the main guy in it. A young Michael
I
Cera,
know Jason Bateman.
his son in it. I'd recommend it, and it's able to watch for all members and viewers and listeners. So, recommend that Arrested Development if you're looking for an easy watch. So that's what's on my telly and what's in my belly. So, Chris, what's
Well,
on your
I'll
telly?
do it the correct way round then, shall
Aye,
I?
sorry.
So what's on
I
my
know.
telly this week is
23 episodes in, and I don't even know how to do it.
that's what happens. We get complacent.
Aye.
So I'm kind of getting complacent here, but I want to mention it again because it's so good. And there's a new season just started last week, and it's season 2 of The Mandalorian,
Right.
which is, if anyone is a Star Wars fan in any shape or form, there is no reason why you shouldn't be watching this. It blows all of the modern films right out the water. It just completely annihilates them. It's back to the true roots of Star Wars, which was a space western. And season 2 is no different. It is heavily western influenced. There's just so many kind of little Easter eggs in it that kind of refer back to the great westerns of the
Right.
bygone era. You know, there's gunslingers and all sorts of stuff happening. It's awesome. Check it out. I'm keeping it brief, but it's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably right now, if you've not tried out Disney Plus, it's a good time to try it because you've got The Mandalorian on each week, new episodes. You've got a full season of that if you've not seen it. But also, and this is a previous one that I've mentioned as well, the new season of The Simpsons starts tomorrow.
Right, okay.
So we're on season, do you want to guess?
I'm going to guess that it is
Need to double check
31.
this now.
31, I'm going to guess.
Let me just check. I think it's season 32, I believe.
Oh, it's close. 88 it probably are then, didn't it? Aye, 88 up to 2020. Aye.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's, I'm pretty sure it is episode, I think we're on season 32.
Right.
If I'm not, you can correct us. No, definitely is season 32 of The Simpsons. It's starting to show tomorrow. And I've dated that in a way that you can actually, it's as you're watching this podcast. So tomorrow, new episodes of The Simpsons on Disney Plus. So check it out. I think I've been watching, so what's in my belly, as I say, I've mentioned lots that I've been watching, lots of Hell's Kitchen. I think I'm on about season 10 of Hell's Kitchen now, which is quite sad. A sad indictment of my life, I would say. So there was something they were making on Hell's Kitchen. I didn't copy it, but have you ever tried gnocchi? Gnocchi?
It's a bread, isn't it? G-N-O... No?
Gnocchi.
Uh-huh.
Gnocchi. It's like little dumplings that are made from potato and the same flour that you would use to make pasta. So
okay.
I made a dish using that. You can get pre-made gnocchi from any of the kind of supermarkets. I tried it. I've had it before, and it was quite nice. It was like a gnocchi with garlic mushrooms and parmesan, and it was nice. It was nice. But what I'm going to do, because the ones they had on Hell's Kitchen were homemade, and the size of these things, like these ones were like about that size, whereas
Right.
the ones in Hell's Kitchen were like that size,
Ah.
And what they were, and I kind of tried to do that last night with it as well. What they were doing is they were kind of like frying off the gnocchi to give it a kind of crispy kind of edge. I'd never done that with gnocchi. I'd just boiled it and then just used it the same way you would make pasta, basically. And I was always kind of underwhelmed with it. I tried to do that last night, and I get a bit of that element. But I think if I make fresh gnocchi from scratch, I think I might be rewarded with like a good eating experience. So I'm going to try it. Apparently, you do baked potatoes, and you scoop the potato out, and you combine it with flour because you want that potato to be really dry in order for it to kind of form. So that's something that I've heard about it. So I will report this in future episodes. But that's what I had. That's what's in my belly. I didn't do any pictures because, as I say, we've got a guest coming on. Also, want to mention from just a wee bit that we mentioned at the start of this episode, we're starting to put more content on that isn't just the podcast on our YouTube channel. So I've been meaning to mention this for weeks, so this is my bad. But we've got Stacey's daughter Riley, who has done her own homemade pizza, and so she's desperate to become a YouTube star. So she's very, very entertaining. It's a wee 5-minute video, so I check that out. She sent me another one, so I hopefully in the week or so I'll get that one up, and she might actually have her own wee playlist on our channel as well, along with this as well. So,
Brilliant.
It's worth mentioning, I thought.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It is. She's funny. She's a funny wee character as well. So I think our viewers will enjoy watching their videos, and that'll be good if we can keep them running as well. If she's enjoying it, then, and if Stacey's willing to do the dishes after it, then that's good. If people could check that out, that would help us out a lot as well. And it would be good for Riley. So check them out, please, as well. But as you say, Chris, we've got a guest coming on now.
We do.
And I'm quite excited about getting this guest on because it's my best mate. This guy is my best mate. We've been best mates since about age 10 or something. So that's a good 15-year friendship. We've done lots together. But we're getting him on, not just to talk about our friendship. We're getting him on because recently he's been successful in publishing a book of his works. So without further ado, we'll introduce him on. It's Chick Lang, a guy who a lot of you might actually know if you're older members, but we'll discuss how you might know him later on. So, there he is. All right, Chick, how you doing?
How's it going?
Good, thanks. Thanks very much for coming on the Milk Round. I heard you're a big fan.
I'm definitely. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on. We've been saying it for a while. We need to get you on, and I think due to your recent success, it was a good time to get you on. But we'll get to that soon. But the first question we have to ask every guest when they come on is, what is on your telly and what's in your belly? So usually we tell the guest what this is before it, but knowing that you're a big fan and you've got all the merch and all that, we don't need to tell you what it is. You've already got it lined up.
Well, I've been thinking about this all week now because I knew I was coming on this, and I was actually flicking through trying to find something good to watch on the telly, but then I just thought I'd go for the thing that's probably been for me the best thing this year, and it just kept us like tidying out during the whole lockdown in March and right through the summer and all that. So, my recommendation for that would be Schitt's Creek, which is it's like a sitcom which was on Canadian telly, and it starts off with this really rich family moving out to Schitt's Creek, and it's like a wee motel that they stay in because there's nowhere else to stay, and then they become the owners of the motel, and like it's 6 seasons, I think. They're on Netflix, and then that would be my recommendation. It's just brilliant because like at first I was anyway, like almost thinking about the characters, like unsure or whatever, and then as time goes on, you kind of fall in love with them, and other even the things that like I found annoying in the first instance, I then found like hilarious when like the more I watched it. It's just like I can't explain how good it is. I don't know if any of you have been recommended it before.
I've watched a trailer for it, and I just need to clarify with our audience that it's spelt shit as in the German surname. So we can say that.
The owner, I don't think this is getting too much away, but the owner of the town is called Roland Shit. So,
that sounds good actually, and I recommended another I recommended an American sitcom this week on Netflix, and it's called Arrested Development. But the way you're explaining that about a family kind of sounds like it would be similar to Arrested Development, so I might give it a watch as well. Is it suitable for our members and viewers and listeners?
Aye, like it's actually now on E4. If people don't have Netflix, so it's it's a sitcom, but it's a daytime sitcom. You know what I mean? So it's on E4 now. But as I say, all the episodes are on Netflix, and there's also they filmed like this documentary on doing the last season, and so you get to see what it's like making the last season. I was nearly great in watching.
Brilliant. So that's what's on your telly. That's a good recommendation. So what's been in your belly this week, Chick?
Well, I've not had my dinner yet tonight, but last night I made a wee curry, which was aubergine and chickpea, and it's just it's kind of like Indian or whatever. So put like in the coconut milk and the chopped tomatoes and then some spices. That's it.
Aye. Excellent. I don't know if
you still riding the vegan wave then, Charles?
I'm riding it, Chris. I'm
good man.
Riding away.
Aye, good stuff. I don't know if you watched that episode with James Stoner, but he spoke about a wee Indian restaurant on Pollockshaw's Road or Kilmarnock
That's right,
Road.
yeah. Pollockshaw's Road. Ranjit's Kitchen.
Aye.
It's a total vegan Indian menu.
I've heard a lot about it. I've never went. I know Chris has actually told me about it before.
Right. So next time you're through, then you'll need to head in there because that's a recommendation from another guest. But we didn't get you on here just to talk about what you're watching, what you're eating. We got you on here to talk about you basically, and we're going to make this kind of informal. We're going to do it to a similar kind of structure as the episode we had with James Stoner, and kind of just get as much information about you. And I suppose the best way to do that is going back to the start and in true Cy Ferry on Not and Go fashion. What was it like growing up? Were the older boys alright? Were they giving you a slap and all that? No. So you're a Castlemilk boy and you grew up in this scheme, in this community. So what are your fondest memories of growing up in Castlemilk?
I think probably like most people, like my fondest memories I think are in the summer when I was a wee guy, and just I don't know, it felt like the whole scheme came alive in the summer in the way that it didn't in the winter, but maybe that's just because of the weather. But like, everybody was always out onto the streets and kicking the ball about, and like the mas and dads would be out in the streets and all, and it felt like I stayed in Ardencraig Quad, so we were almost like contained into this one square anyway. So like people would just sit at the close and the things, and we used to jump the fence into St Dominic's, and then when Miller was getting built, we used to jump the fence into the pitch that wasn't even built. I remember playing in St Dominic's like one night, but Miller was building the AstroTurf pitch, and like they had laid half the AstroTurf, but we were playing 11-a-sides, the whole quad, like even the dads and all that, and like half the pitch wasn't even turfed yet, but like it was. And then we used to do things like, I don't know, 2-man hunt, and the things would last like hours and hours, and like it was 11 o'clock at night and you were still hunting for people, and it turns out they were sitting in the house all the time. So things like that, man, I definitely like the summer memories. I think growing up were always the best, and what I would look back on. I think like building, even like Bonnywood, collecting Bonnywood in May, and like setting up a wee thing, turning up one weekend in June, and the Chinese taking it all away. You need to start from scratch, and things like that. I think are my favourite memories, which I think are all standard for people growing up in Castlemilk. Well, they were for us in the quad anyway, but aye.
Brilliant. Sounds excellent.
It's kind of like in Castlemilk. I never lived in Castlemilk growing up or anything like that, but I've worked there a long time. And but what I can see from Castlemilk is you're kind of almost out in the country, almost, because like the surrounding it is you're just, if you keep walking up the hill, eventually you're in the middle of the Cathkin Braes, and it is literally countryside. You know what I mean as well. So I suppose when you're saying about the summer thing, you know, coming alive at the summer. It's out in the country.
Well, sorry,
yeah.
Chris.
On you go, no?
No, I was just going to say, just like we used to plank up Bonnywood at the boat with the braes, just like behind the mooring coat fog, that kind of area where it was like enclosed or whatever. So I definitely like the braes were a huge part, I think.
Mm. How did you find school and the community around you as you grew up? What's your memories of that?
I mean, I thought school was good. I think when I went to secondary school, I don't know, took a dodgy turn probably, where maybe I was doing things less innocent than climbing the fence, but it dominates, you know what I mean? Like, I think still, which I don't think is the case now, probably thanks to Youth Complex, but when I was about 13, 14, like, gang fighting was still quite a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say I was necessarily deeply involved in it or whatever, but it was always, I was kind of in it, and I wanted to be involved in, even if I wasn't. I don't think I was bold enough ever, but like definitely wanted to be, and other people were, and I think that was definitely around when I'd like started school, and when I was at school also, like you were aware of people who offer certain bits of Castlemilk in school. But like I said, I don't think that exists anymore. But I think maybe that was just because I was young and 13, 14 age, like, and I was impressionable probably, like everybody else who was doing it was.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to say at that age, you maybe start taking, there's a bit of risk-taking behaviour that you try things out and stuff like that. And I would probably say that gang fighting isn't such a big thing now, not like it was when you were that age. So I think, that we've moved on from that, hopefully, and we won't be revisiting it anytime soon. So no, it's fair for you to say that, you know.
Yeah, right, Chris. I've been speaking to quite a lot of people in the school, young people and staff members, who are asking about the community all the time, and even the young people are like, "No, it doesn't happen anymore. We're one big scheme." That's what they call ourselves. We're just Castlemilk now. Whereas when me and Chick were growing up, sometimes you wouldn't want to walk a different street just in case older boys for that bit were there, and that could be like 2 streets up for you. Or like, so Castlemilk was kind of divided, I suppose, Chick, wasn't it? When we were maybe S1 or S2, and there was like different gangs for different areas, and you couldn't really walk in there. But I mentioned that to the young people that are saying it now to me. We're just one big scheme. It is good that they can walk anywhere in Castlemilk and they can feel safe in their own community, but does that affect how people in other schemes look at you or perceive you? And they kind of agree with that argument. They go, "Aye, it does actually, because we are all Castlemilk. We're just Castlemilk, and we're no. It's a bit riskier to go say they're on a bus to the city centre or something. A 75 goes through 3 different schemes before it gets to the town. For Castlemilk, it goes through 3 different schemes, and that's the good thing is that they all come together, and it's a good close knit community. But there is still the risks there. So.
Definitely. Like I say, all that was only a small part of school. Like the rest of it was amazing, you know what I mean? And everybody looked after each other as far as I was concerned most of the time, I think.
It was probably around about that time that you started attending the youth complex, and you eventually through coming through as a young person, and then as a worker, and then eventually the chairman of the board for a good number of years as well. You just give us a wee kind of rundown of your experiences with the youth complex, really.
I remember the first night I went to the UFA actually, which was probably when I was a bit of a nuisance, and it was a horror tour, and me and my pals were trying to sneak into it. We never had tickets, and Kelly told us where to go basically, and well, we got in. And I remember that, and I distinctly remember Bush, who was the chairperson before me. He was gaining the tour, the youth complex, and I remember that very well. That was my first moment in the building, I think, and after that, I never left. Honestly, growing up, first year, second year at school, as I said, I think I was possibly getting up to no good then, out and about, but like the youth complex was always part of what we were up to, like through streetwise or things like that. You know what I mean? Like coming and bring the football cage. I'm not sure if that happens anymore. Like they used to bring
stopped doing it. Yeah, it was just it was the council that came in, and the community safety services came in to do that. But I don't even know if community safety services is a thing anymore.
But it was always like it was the streetwise people who were always there. Like, remember Ryan, Chris, Dan, they were always around that, and that was like, even if we weren't going to the youth complex, we were always, the football cage was always there or whatever. And then I don't know, I started going to the complex more and more at night, I think, and then I don't know what started it, but we had a brainwave to start back up the radio station, Cyclone FM, and that became a big part of my life for a wee while. I don't know how, but it did. It was like me, Darren Gardner, and Ross Dunbar at the time were quite interested in that kind of thing. They two actually work in broadcasting now, doing sport, the two of them. But like I was interested in that as well, and we started doing the Cyclone FM. That was great. I think that was when I became like more involved in the youth complex as like an everyday thing rather than like something we would go to in the evening. So we set it up, and I got more involved in like the music side of things at the complex, like DJing. It was like a huge passion for me when I was younger. I wanted to learn, so spent a lot of time with Dan Gal, even in the recording studio and things, learning about music, how to make music, things like that, which I think I was probably just being a nuisance most of the time, but hanging about and not really, but we done that kind of thing, and then as I say, I got more involved in the youth complex, started volunteering at night, and then going to the board, and I was on the board for, well, still on, I guess, but I was a chairperson for I think 5 or 6 years. We've done a lot of really good things in that time, I think, and the youth complex became like no part of my life. It probably was my life for a long time, and
sounds great. That was a good answer. Cheers. It was really in depth, but I think it needed to be, because you done so much at the youth and worked your way up where a lot we try and it's kind of promoted at the youth complex, and it come in as a member, become a volunteer, trainee, sessional, move your way up, and then get on the board, make decisions, because that's what we try and aim to do, make the young people at the heart of making the decisions for the complex. But so you finished school up, you went to college, got some extra qualifications, and then you thought it was time to make a change of scenery and move to the capital. You went to Edinburgh Uni. What did you study there, Chick?
I studied English Lit when I was at uni.
Right.
I think I think I was, as I said, I was kind of interested in like journalism, that kind of thing with Cyclone FM. And I think when I was at college, it was very much journalism that I kind of wanted to do. And my tutor at college kind of said, "Why don't you think about English? Like journalism's like one thing, but maybe broaden it a bit." And so I decided to go try English, and it was a weird thing actually. I went to see Annie Mac at the O2 Academy, which we had managed to get free passes for because we told them that we were doing a Hingway coverage thing for Cyclone FM, which is class. But anyway,
Hold on a minute, there's kind of a recurring theme of you just finding your way
Lagging your way into things.
I basically.
You're going to tell us you didn't even get into uni and you just walked in one time in the lecture.
But so then I got back to that. It was quite late at night. Like it was probably like 11:30 at night or something. I got back to that and I had like a UCAS thing for saying I'd go into Edinburgh to do English, and I hadn't really heard back from what the offers yet. And I think I'd intended to stay in Glasgow, I think, but then I just accepted it there and then. I never told my ma, which I probably should have done. It was like 11:30 at night, and I told her like the day after when I was eating my dinner, and she was raging, but she got over it. I think it was the best thing because I needed a wee change, I think, at that point in my life. And I went to Edinburgh, studied English Lit. It was good.
How was Edinburgh? Was it good?
I met a lot of amazing people there. There's a lot of posh people there as well, and probably come from a scheme like Castlemilk, like that. Like I remember my first night of Freshers Week, somebody told me that I pronounced my name wrong, which is kind of absurd, but they did. They say and then things like God like bump into people and say like, "Oh, whereabouts in Glasgow you feel, whatever," and then you say Castlemilk, and somebody say like, "Oh, don't stab me then," and I was like, "Well, I'm not going to." But things like that. But like generally, everybody was great, and Edinburgh's a nice city. It doesn't really compare to Glasgow because they're very different. But I enjoy my time in Edinburgh. I'm not sure I would necessarily do it again.
Right. But you did have some good experiences there, I suppose, because you took a lot of your DJing skills for the stuff you'd learned at the youth through actual live performances and DJing and through your radio, and you've done some work through in Edinburgh and other places in Europe, I suppose, through that. You want to just tell our viewers a wee bit about that?
It's when because I became interested, and it was kind of journalism I wanted to do, and I think I got involved in DJing through that. It was music journalism I wanted to do, and the more I got involved in like music kind of things, the more I became interested in DJing and stuff like that. But I joined the radio station. It was a student radio station in Edinburgh called Fresh Air, and had a show on that and became like more involved in Fresh Air because you're getting to meet like all my pals at uni were in Fresh Air. They weren't on my course or anything like that, and they were my closest pals, and we as Fresh Air would put on like nights. So I think the first night that I was involved in putting on was like a 60s night or whatever, which sounds crazy but it's kind of fun. And then we got more involved in putting on things like a night called Bump and Grind, which is like a noughties and 90s noughties R&B night. And that's probably how I first started DJing in Edinburgh. And then just, Chris, you're probably the same with music. Like the more you do that kind of thing, the more you meet people and the more kind of gigs you get. So that's kind of, it just kind of materialised for there. And I was doing like nightclubs in Edinburgh, just a few nights a week. So I would do like Tuesday, Thursday nights DJing, Saturday nights DJing, like that's a heavy shift because like you're not getting into 4 in the morning, and then I was getting up for a lecture at 9 o'clock. So aye. So it's no that's how it materialised, and then by the time I got into like the end of my degree, so it was like 4th year or whatever, I just kind of died that down. I was only doing one night a week, which was a Saturday. But through that, we got to meet a lot of nights people and DJ with people who are really good and have great times. Managed to go abroad and DJ a few times, which was cracking, down to London and things, which seems insane to do, like thinking about the nights under the current circumstances, like what would it like to be in a nightclub at this point in time is kind of absurd, but that's what I was doing, and I really enjoyed it. I think it probably burnt me out a wee bit, so I kind of just stopped doing it. But
Aye.
Aye.
But we've had a couple of music episodes through doing the podcast, and obviously the podcast started in lockdown, so we've not discussed what live music is like right now because we've not got it. But I think everybody's missing it the now more than ever because it's been so long since anybody's been able to go to like an event like that where there's live music and you can mingle with other people and meet new people, which is a shame.
So you can Edinburgh, we've kind of covered that and stuff. Then I think there was a period you came back to us for a wee while, did a wee bit of kind of like youth work with us for a wee while, and then you decided to make another move through to Belfast to kind of continue your studies. Can you tell us a wee bit about that? So was it Queen's University you took a place to do a master's course? Right. And what did you end up doing there, and how was that basically?
So I was working in a youth complex, and I was also working for Glasgow Life, doing like marketing and communications for Glasgow Life, and I just really didn't like it. I didn't like the office job. I didn't like that kind of thing. I loved the youth complex. That was kind of respite from it, and it's no any. Doesn't mean any reflection on the people who was doing it with, but I just couldn't hack it. And when I was doing my undergrad in Edinburgh, I took a creative writing course as part of one of my modules, and I'd been trying it out. And then when I finished my degree, I was kind of trying it out as well. And I got halfway through, I think, the time I was in my job, and decided that I wanted to take it more seriously and wanted to, so I decided to apply for a master's and to do poetry, creative writing, and I knew that I wanted to come to Belfast because I'd been introduced to the work of a guy called Kieran Carson during my undergrad, and I was blown away by it. I just thought it was, I don't know, I'd never read anything like this before and never felt so enthralled by things like that before. And he taught here. So I wanted to be taught by him was my main reason for coming to Belfast. I think. Sadly, he passed away last year, a year ago for now. But that was my main reason for coming here, was to be taught by him.
And you're still in Belfast then? Are you still continuing your studies, or are you finished with your studies now?
So I'm still technically I'm doing a PhD in creative writing now. So I finished the masters and I began PhD about a year ago now. So I'm about a year through it, and it's just writing basically. So
how long will you be at your PhD before we can call you Professor Lang then?
I've got another two years. So the funding lasts 2 years. So we'll see.
I've called Kit plenty of things, but Professor won't make it to that list, I don't think.
Well, I think that's what you're meant to call him if he gets a PhD, mate. So
I'll figure out another acronym for him. It won't be PhD. It'll be something else if he annoys me. But you were talking about your writing that you're doing now, and we're going to get you on with it, talking about your recent publishing of your book, Aye OK. So what can we say about it? It's brilliant. I ordered it on the first day it came out, pre-ordered it, and got it. Loved the way it came in the weekend of newspaper with the pictures of Castlemilk. And I texted you as I was reading it. I sat with my girlfriend Brooke and we read it together, and we were howling, we were smiling like proudly, we were smiling at memories that we had that you had brought back to us, and feeling a wee bit sad and nostalgic about some parts of the book as well with your poetry. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant, honestly. It is. I'm so proud of you. But how did that come about, the idea of creating a book of your work?
Oh, firstly, thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate that. Means a lot. These poems, I guess, were written early close to like 3 years or something. Most of it is what I wrote in my masters, and I knew I wanted to do something with them because I had quite a lot of poems by that point, and I had them published in a few magazines or whatever. But I'd also had one of them in there. It's called The Semi-Final. It was published by Speculative Books in their anthology. So I got in touch with them to see if they would be interested in publishing something longer. And they never got back to me for a wee while, because they're obviously really busy. So I kind of just thought, okay, well, it's not going to happen or whatever. But when they got back to me, they were really, really positive and they wanted to make it happen. So that's how that came about. But the things about you say about like how you like open up or whatever, and what they say, like that was all them, man. I think like what they'd done with it was really, really amazing, honestly.
Aye, no, it's brilliant. I kept that when it came in, the writing that it came in. I kept it because
I've got it on my wall.
I think it's just part of the book, I'd say.
Definitely.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
Another friend of the complex, Ryan, who you mentioned, Ryan Davidson, put a nice review in his blog, and he said he name-checked G45 as his favourite poem in the book. Have you got a favourite that you've written, and would you maybe want to give us a wee blast of it?
I must say thanks to Ryan for that. It was very kind of him. It's kind of a weird question to answer because I wrote them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say if somebody was asking me that question about a song I'd written, or even just my favourite band that I listened to, I struggle. I struggle with it. So sorry, but can you give us an answer, please?
So as I said, like there's a bit of a process in putting it together, and it changed order a few times. Poems came out and in, that kind of thing. But one of the last decisions that we made was to put the last poem in it, which I wrote during the lockdown. So the rest were kind of wrote before that, and that one was written during the lockdown. And like when I knew I was going to put more poems in it, I thought I might consider putting that one in. But then it became the last poem, and I think for me anyway, I don't know about anybody else reading it, that the whole thing then made sense as like a collection of poems in a way that it didn't before, probably. So I guess that's a roundabout way of saying that it's probably that one. But should I read G45 because it's about I suppose they're all about Castlemilk, but that one specifically.
If you think that our viewers will enjoy that the most, of viewers and listeners, then go for that. If you're happy to do that, that'd be great. Oh, he's trying to take it.
What a professional! What a professional!
I just when I get nervous, I just drink water and then I have to pee myself.
Is the poem started, Chick? That's a good opening. I like it.
I'll write that when we come off. G45. Where Ping is shutting down, and the fruit shop that sold 4 packets of coca noodles for £1 belongs to a guy selling vapor e-cigarettes. The library is getting done up. The co-op has been turned into a B&M. There's 3 bookies in a row now, 2 pawn shops, and what used to be a family-run kid shop is empty. They say we're one big community where everybody knows everybody, and the local news is plastered all over Facebook before it's even happened. There's police outside McDonald's, somebody's been stabbed, a fire hydrant's been set off, somebody's granny's dead, and wee Courtney came second in a dance competition. Being a good fighter is still more credible than being a half-decent football player, and it took me some time to hang up my boots before I started writing poems. But that's not exactly something you can say, because most people here will think it's a bit weird. So when they ask if I'm still kicking a ball, I tell them I play 5-a-sides, which I suppose is true some of the time, when the sun's out and people are hanging about Valia, playing rave tunes and drinking 2-litre bottles of Strongbow that stopped being called hours ago. The windmill at the top of the braes keeps on turning, and most of it stays the same really. One big community, we do our best under the circumstances.
Done.
There you go.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm going to get a
No,
clap.
that's
I
what
don't know how
Ryan
that's
meant.
going to sound on YouTube, a clap through a mic on a laptop, but excellent Chick. Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it. Can we see the cover of the book? Is that all right?
Just sit here.
And,
Yeah, we've
what we're
got it.
going to do now is if you can send Chris the link to buy the book, because I think a second batch has just been put out because you sold it your first batch.
Aye, fortunately enough, that's aye. So I believe the second one is here now. So aye.
Brilliant. So we'll get a link for that for you if you can just send that to Chris, and we'll put it in our description and on our social medias as well. And we were chatting before the episode, and you were kind enough to say that you'll send us a signed copy, and we'll give that to one of our members who actually shares this episode. So guys, that's an opportunity to get, in my opinion, a brilliant book, and it's signed for the man himself, Chick Lang. A true Castlemilk boy. So if you share this on one of your social medias, it can be on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. We'll see who shared it and then put them into a draw, and we'll pick out a winner to win that prize. But thanks very much, Chick. Really appreciate
And
it.
I think if you're from Castlemilk or you've spent a lot of time in Castlemilk, you'll get all those references that he's made in that there. There's a lot of local references like the Wur Ping and stuff like that. Awesome.
Aye. Brilliant stuff. So there's one last bit of this interview, and it kind of goes back to your youth work. And you, unfortunately, you can't come through to Glasgow now because of restrictions and things like that. But if you could work a night at the complex this week or in the future, what advice would you give to the young people at Castlemilk, like on? So firstly, maybe school and university, because we do a thing every year, No Wrong Path. Kirsty kind of leads that and asks all the workers and all the people in our community, how did you get to where you were? And me and Chris done an episode on that as well. And I think your path is a great path as well for young people who are maybe interested in the same thing as you. So firstly about that, and then secondly, maybe advice on interests. So Scaramanga were on a couple of weeks ago and gave some advice to young people who are maybe interested in music, and I suppose it would be the same for you. I know this is a dead long question, but it kind of makes sense, I hope. So if you can just give a wee bit of advice to people who might be watching.
I guess the path thing is that there definitely isn't one. Like, I never thought when I was 16, 17, 18 that I would be writing poems, certainly. So I mean, you don't have to go to school after university after school rather, either, because I never done it. So there's loads of that. I mean, you can go to university when you're 40-year-old. Do you know what I mean? There is no rank path, and try things, I guess, is the most important thing, and you'll eventually settle on something that you like. I say this sounding old and wise. I've not got a clue myself, but with with the second part of the question, I think it's the same as the first. Try things, because, like, I think, well, I kind of don't DJ anymore, but I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I got the experience for it, because I think if I'd never, then I probably wouldn't have arrived at writing. But writing is now what I want to do. So, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but also don't be shy to put your eggs in a basket, if that makes sense.
Aye, well put by the poet himself. That's good. No, great stuff. Thanks very much, and thank you for coming on as well, Chick. We really
Thanks
appreciate
for having me.
it. It's been brilliant. I really hope our viewers and listeners enjoy this episode. I think they will, and I think that wee short excerpt of your book will get a lot of people buying it as well. So we will put that link up. Any plans for the future in your books?
I will keep writing and see what happens.
Aye. Okay. Right. So the interview is finished, Chick. So thanks very much for doing that part. Right. But the episode isn't finished. Now you're an avid listener, avid viewer of the Milk Round, so you'll know what comes at the end when we get a guest on, and you have to go up against a guy who's starting to turn it around in season 2. By the way, at the quiz, good
I'm getting
performance.
nervous now.
Good performance, I'd say. And what I thought was an ex-DJ and a current music tutor, we've got to have a quiz on literature. We've got a music quiz. Don't worry, Chris.
Oh my God!
We always ask a guest if they want to go first or second. So, Chick, first or second?
This is like a penalty shoot, isn't it? I never know the answer.
We're not using the ABBA scheme either. It's A, B, A, B, A, B.
Aye. Oh, thank Christ. Chris, go first.
Chris, go first, right? So what happens as well, Chick, is the format we use. If Chris gets it wrong, you get a chance to answer. If you get it right or wrong, it's still your question after that, right? So,
That's good.
question 1 to Chris. Pressure's on. Sound of the Underground was the first #1 for which group?
Girls Aloud!
Girls Aloud.
Way!
One up.
Chris has got the CD in the house.
He's good at his getting
I've got the poster.
I'm sure your wife watches this every week, so edit that bit out.
That's it, aye. Get to the editing programs.
Okay, Chick, the pressure's on you now.
That is
4
aye.
weddings and a funeral made which song a #1?
I don't know.
You want to give it a guess?
No, I've not even seen it, Lee. So
Right, okay. We'll pass it on to Chris.
It was in the charts. I think it's still in the charts, in fact. It was Love Is All Around.
Love Is All Around is correct.
It was Wet, Wet, Wet. It was in the charts literally for about 17 million years, Chick. That's why I think it's still in the charts now. It was in the mid-90s, so that was kind of my formative period. So we're like, oh, no, again. And the band voluntarily withdrew it. They just did, right, that's enough. That's enough. They didn't, you wouldn't hear that these days, like bands going, all right, okay, that's enough. No, it was like Bryan Adams, I think, did one as well. It was a very long chart one as well. But anyway.
the charts are kind of weird now because
they are, because of downloads and stuff like that and streaming.
So it's aye.
And because of TikTok.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Every song is getting famous through TikTok. It's wild. But aye, 2-0. Check, we've got a bit of work to do. Next question, this is where we can go 3-0 up. In which decade did Elvis have his first UK #1?
Say the 50s.
Check, Jenky's got it right.
I would have said the 50s, I think. So
50s is correct, aye, it's 3-0. Chris, it's gone well this week. It's gone well. I'm really glad I sent you the questions before the episode.
Checks in the post, mate.
Right, Check. Come on, let's get one back here.
right.
Question 4. Where Is the Love was the first #1 for which collective?
Black Eyed Peas.
Black Eyed Peas, well done. Good
I
answer.
did actually have that CD.
Did you?
Aye.
Yeah, like the red question mark on it.
Aye.
Okay, well done, 3-1. Chris, to go 4-1 up. What was the imaginative title of Mr. Blobby's first number one?
I think it was Blobby. Mr. Blobby.
What's your final answer?
Mr. Blobby.
Mr. Blobby's correct. Aye.
Yeah.
I don't
How
know.
do I know that, eh?
I don't know if I could have accepted just Blobby, so I had to see what one you were going for. But Mr. Blobby's correct. So 4-1. Chick, you really need this, right?
Right.
Who had number ones with Call Me and Atomic?
Blondie.
Blondie is correct. Well done. 4-2. Hold it back a wee bit. Okay, question 7, Chris. Which song was a number one for both Nelson and Mariah Carey?
With who, sorry?
Nelson and Mariah Carey.
I don't know who the first person is. Is it the All I Want for Christmas Is You or something like that, maybe? I don't know.
That's not that, no. So we pass it over to Charles.
Try to go through Mariah Carey songs, but I can't even think of any. No, I don't know.
It's a song called Without You. So, unknown what that
Wouldn't have
is.
known that one.
Nope. Next question goes to Chick then. It's still 4-2. Which Drake song broke number one records in summer 2016?
I think Drake must have broke about every single record every single time he brings a tune it. Try think of 2016. Is it Nice for What?
Sorry?
Is it Nice for What?
Is that the answer again?
That I suppose that was around about that time.
Aye, no, it's not that. So we pass it over to Chris.
Can you pass it back to me after?
It's no cell phone. No, that's Hotline Bling, I think, in it. So he does that one. It's not that either. Right, we'll pass it to Chick and see if he gets it.
No, I knew that. I know. I've got it in my head. No, I don't have it in my head.
No. It's One Dance.
No.
Of course.
You know it, Chris, no?
I just find Drake the most boring monosyllabic kind of performer ever. It just there's no dynamics in it whatsoever. It just coasts along and you're just like
I'm not a fan of Drake, but I think Chick, you're a fan, eh?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Drake. But I didn't say One Dance because it was on the same album as the song I said before. But
right, okay.
The single obviously came out this summer, so
Right,
that's
okay.
my fault.
So, Chris, if you get this next one, you've won. You've won for the second week in a row, which hasn't happened since season 1. So, pressure's on. Which US state was the title of a Bee Gees number one?
If you're going to Massachusetts.
I think that deserves the win itself for the wee. It is Massachusetts, so well done, Chris.
I love the Bee Gees, man. Sean Ryder loves the Bee Gees as well of Happy Mondays. He's a big Bee Gees guy. Yeah, love the Bee Gees.
Aye, well done, Chris. I think it was deserved this week. Hard lines,
well done, Chris.
Thank you,
you deserved it.
Thank you. I think I was just very lucky with the questions. I did know a few of your questions though as well, so I was kind of I was fortunate to think.
I don't know if you've been making it this far on the podcast, Chick, when you've been listening, but we've been using a wee bit of a football analogy when we've been talking about Chris's performances through season 2, and it's as if he's bossed. He's put a lot of money into his team in season 1 and bossed that league and got promoted into the Premier League, and the opponents have been hard at the start of the season. He's got 2 wins now in a row. So I think the fans will be happy. They'll be backing him, backing the manager, and the board might give him some money in the January transfer and see how we can get
Firmly
on.
mid-table now, though. Definitely mid-table.
Aye.
It happens,
Could
Chris.
go either way. Could go either way, though. Could be relegation zone or
I think that
into
wins
the
just
top six. You know.
to be fair. Aye, that's our episode for this week. Big thank you, Chick, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Did you enjoy yourself?
Aye, thanks very much for having me.
Aye.
Listen to me talk crap. Thank you.
Aye. We do that every week anyway, so it was good to get a change of voice talking crap. But we'd love you to come on as a co-host at one point in the future as well, like in season 3 or something. That'd be good.
Aye, sure.
Yeah.
But thanks very much, guys. If you can like our videos like this one, subscribe to our channel that you're on just now, our YouTube channel. Ring the bell for notifications. Share our videos on your social medias, especially this video, because there's a chance to win IOK signed by Chick himself with this episode. And if you need any more advice or want to suggest some topics for future podcast episodes, you can get us on social media at
Kelly Youth Complex staff is on Facebook, Twitter Youth Complex CYC, Instagram Youth_Complex. We have a TikTok, it's Kelly Youth Complex, and our email address is cycyouthteam@gmail.com.
Perfect. So thanks again, Chick. Well done to Chris for 2 wins in a row. Let's see if we can make it 3 next week. And we'll catch you next Thursday as well, guys. So thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.